Yeah.
Oh, I definitely should have like secretly hit record about 4 minutes ago. That would have been fun.
No.
But anyhow, we're back for another episode of Athletics LLC. So Lucius, how are you doing this evening?
Wonderful. Excited. First competition this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, he said so what? Kai said Clyde and Kai, how are you tonight?
The baby is eager to ask two of you, how dare you show up without bags over your heads? I'm very upset. I'm very upset with the debacle that was Monday night.
Oh.
Very disappointed. Very disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, you ain't gonna see no bag.
On.
You ain't gonna see no bag over my head. Look,
we've moved on.
The frogs fought as well as they could fight for right now.
That was not a fight.
That was not a fight.
No,
hey,
it was more like a submission.
They were scared.
You saw me put the stop the fight meme in the group chat, so hey, I'll wear it. It's all good.
Yeah, that wasn't expected. Lamar 007 Huffins.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you? We can see you.
I am spectacular. I'm feeling very good. I'm looking forward to the show tonight.
Love it. And then last but not least, jealous as always, Governor. Always want to be where you are on that beach. Man.
Every now and then I just have to go back.
I mean, today was a nice day, so you're halfway there.
Salt air, just to remind myself, that I am one smooth brother. Anyway.
Smooth off the river.
Hello, everybody. I am excited. We are our first track meet. We leave tomorrow. And we compete Friday, and yeah, we're ready to go. So let's get this on.
Right? I know. Who has their bag packed? No hands. One hand. Exactly.
Packed? No. Not even a little bit.
Know what color we're wearing.
Done deal.
So, all right, back to Wednesday night business, recording night business. Yes, I know, Kai. I'll make it go faster. What is the goal of the relay selection for World Championships and the Olympics? Is it to select a team to represent the U.S. or to select the best team to represent the U.S.?
So I take it you guys are waiting for me to go. So so what are we confused by? Let's start there.
Is the question what it is or what it should be?
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. Well, I mean, I think if we're going to ask what it is, I think it's just to select a team, and it's very political. It's very political. Another P word. Yeah, political. And I think the issue is if as you look at the question, the process another P word, should be based on put the best really out there that gives us a chance to win. That should be the process of this, the selection. And I don't think that's what happens. I think it's trying to please people and appease people, and a lot of peas thrown on today, So I think like the big issue for me here is we've watched this evolve over the years. I think that, just to do a little revisionist history, way back in the 70s and the 80s, they were using people from the 2 and the 4 to run the 4x4, run the 4x1s. And then for a while there, we got away with running the first 4 guys from the 100. And now that becomes some sort of rite of passage, right? If you're top 4, you have to be in the relay pool. And, I was one of those guys up until the last couple of years. I'm like, that's not the best way to is that the cleanest way? Is that the easiest way? Is that the safest way to pick a relay? Absolutely. But is that the best way to pick a relay to win the championship? Absolutely not. Because if that's the process, we don't see Alice and Felix on a whole lot of relays. We never get to see her at all.
So very well said. I compare this to what happened to USA basketball up until 1992. Well, right before 1992, when they started to realize that the world was starting to catch up with them. And so the dream team was born. And what has happened since? Well, the assumption has been that, well, we have the best basketball players in the world. So of course, we're just going to run rampant over every team out there. Well, what's happened? Well, Athens happened, okay? And I think the adjustments that USA Basketball has made is that we've got to get these players with each other, and we have to get them to know each other before we get on that plane to go play at the Olympics. And I think the same thing is evident here. I think the USA will always, in my opinion, I mean, yes, we saw the golden age on the men's side from in Jamaica, and they dominated for their period of time. I don't think there's any doubt that USA has the best athletes, best sprinters, especially on the men's side. And there has to be more familiarity, in my opinion. These athletes have to get to know each other more, and there has to be more in-depth work with who does what, who is best at what role. And, you know, until that happens and there's a way to get past the politics, I think we'll run into situations where, oh, we almost did it. Or, you know, we have those situations, those catastrophic issues with batons and stuff like that, that shouldn't happen. Yeah, so, you know, we've got to be, it's got to be more in depth.
That look, this is a smooth relay that's going on right here. I think just to pick up exactly where the governor left off, I think the key to all of this is exactly the last part that you just said, roles.
Mhm.
The reason the US used to win is we would put people in roles, right? Like Calvin Smith was the best third leg in the world, and nobody argued that. Dennis Mitchell took that mantra from him, and then nobody argued that.
Nope.
And let's be honest, the debacle started, and look, I love Dennis, he's my dude, but the debacle started when Dennis won the 96 trials, and he decided, and his people decided that he had to run anchor and he deserved to. I'm just telling you the narrative, right? The narrative that was out there. Does that make sense? The narrative that was out there was that, you know, Dennis had to run anchor because he was the US champ. When in the reality is, it's like, yeah, but he's the best guy in the world at the job he was already doing.
Yes.
Right. And look, Carl didn't make the team in the 4x1, but you know what? Carl was the best anchor in the history of the world until Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, probably should have put him on the relay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and all of those things. And it just kind of went from 96 on, it just kind of went awry. Sometimes we got it right. Right. But the process itself became something else starting there. Like we go back in 84, Willie Gault ran first leg. He's a hurdler, right? So this is like there's precedent for this stuff, always has been, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, listen, I'll say it right now so that everybody can hear me. Grant Holloway is the best third leg in the world. Now, if we don't figure out a way to get his coach on board, him on board, the process on board, I'm saying not that they don't agree. I'm saying that they're not. Look, we all got to be on the same page with this, right? And until somebody does, like if I'm his coach, I'm not risking medals and life after the, after the Olympics or World Championships, whatever it is, for a relay process that's broken. But if we all can agree to do things that make sense, right, and put people where they belong, then we probably won't lose.
Ever.
Right? Like if you look at what's in the United States currently that we know is going to make world championship teams between the 100, the 200, the 110 hurdles, and the 400, right? If we just look at that pool and say, who are the best 4 guys? No chance we lose.
None.
If you do the same thing on the women's side, look, the only chance we could lose is the fact that Jamaica has the best on paper horsepower that's ever existed, right? But we beat them last year. So that just tells you it's possible. But there's no question that on the men's side, we should never lose.
The irony of all this mess. I love Team USA's selection process for the individual events. We don't care who you are. We don't care about your reputation. We don't care from which you have come. You come to the meet, either you're top 3 or you sit down. And for the individual events, I think that is the absolute best way to pick a team. I also think that is the absolute stupidest way to pick a relay, because the skills required to run the relay, especially the 4x1, have absolutely nothing to do with the skills required to make the team in your individual events. I've said that a million times. Some people give me pushback, some people roll with it. But how many times do we have to learn that that is obviously true before we just accept it? I think the way that it should be has been echoed very eloquently by my colleagues, and I would roll with all of that 100%. The irony is where we don't care about anybody's stats or feelings in the individual events, we go out of our way to kowtow to everybody's feelings, including the people that don't even run, coaches, agents, administrators. Everybody's feelings matter when it comes to relay time. And it just doesn't make any sense. So I've always said that that starts with leadership. So you have to have people in charge with the emotional and mental capabilities of making hard decisions and telling everybody to kick rocks. And then, of course, they also have to have the skill set to evaluate the realities of people's talents and what they are good at, what they have shown to be good at, what they have shown not to be good at. And somehow we keep missing them on these issues. So, you know, as a fan of Team USA, I will continue to do what I can and root for our success. But there doesn't really seem it doesn't seem like it's getting better, actually, from the setup and the execution standpoint. So I feel like we're going to keep having these issues, but how it should be is we have to consider all factors and have the people in place that know how to do that.
Agreed. So there's obviously a lot to go into it and different experiences from all different perspectives. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and runs its course, I should say. Moving on, it was announced, it's been spoken about, but now it's officially announced that there are new NCAA rules pertaining to baseball and softball, specifically in its first rollout, let's call it, that all volunteer coaches are now going to be considered paid coaches and allowed to recruit. Essentially, not per the words, but essentially.
I don't think that's the way that the rule reads. They just gave them an extra coach.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought it was more.
so-
I'm sorry. I lied.
No, so they just
I lied.
so they both get what, 4 now, EP?
Yes.
Yeah, so they both get 4 now.
Oh, I thought it was all, or not all. I shouldn't say all. I guess maybe that's because
We'll see.
we
Okay,
discussed
so
it that
the way, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but baseball and softball already had one volunteer coach, right?
3 paid,
So
1 volley.
they had three paid, 1 volunteer. So now they can have 4 paid,
Got it.
right? So
Got
all of
it.
this has kind of come about because the NCAA was sued over the volunteer coach role because they're, I don't know what the lawsuit entailed, but they were sued basically because you're limiting a person's ability to make a living. So now you can have 4 coaches. And
We can recruit.
to my knowledge, I think the volunteer coach is going away. There's no more volunteer coaches.
Relevant, not relevant. The NCAA should probably stop trying to get these lawsuits because they're not winning. So, but anyhow, what might they mean for track and field? The new rule, sorry.
Wow.
I'll jump in first just to, I guess, give this train a path. I was at the ABCA, which is the American Baseball Coaches Association, which, by the way, just for understanding, I don't know how many people go to the USA Track and Field annual meeting or how many people attend the USTF CCCA, but I know that if you combine them, it's not 8,600 coaches. And that's how many people and participants were at the ABCA. And I will tell you, 8,599 of them were adamant that like baseball is not ever going to be played again unless we get at least 4 coaches. They asked for 5, just so we're clear. They were mad that they were lumped in there with hockey, which I thought was wild. But long story short is this: I kept saying to them, which is where I'm going, the key to all of this is what happens with track and field. And so even though the legislation for them came out first, what I personally believe is they gave baseball 1 more and softball 1 more because they're going to give track and field 2 more in combined programs. Because if you look at the numbers, they're incredibly similar. There was 11.7 scholarships for 35 men on the baseball roster, and there's 12.6 scholarships for roughly 45 to 50 men on a track and field team. So those sports mirror each other very well. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is that at the end of the day, like the volunteer title for the baseball volley was just semantics. Like the volleys in the SEC make 6 figures, but they can't get insurance from the school because it's not a paid position. So, that's those kind of semantics and workarounds are going to go away. And I think what is going to be interesting is, as it pertains to my particular position, what it pertains to track is if and when track and field goes from 6 in a combined program to 8, which is what I do think is going to happen. The question is going to be, are they going to limit the volunteers in track and field? Because if you get rid of the volunteers in track and field, there's some track and field staffs that are going to shrink.
Well,
Don't we have a limit already where it's 1 per event group?
The limit is 1 per
6.
gender per sport. So it's 6.
So I have a couple of things that pop up, and it's not that I have solutions or anything, but I don't know how it is around the country. I can only speak on the places that I've been, but there is legislation from UTSA that says any, let's just say post-collegiate, whatever, that wants to use our facilities have to be a volunteer coach, or there has to be some role that they have as part of the staff. And if that goes away, I'm wondering if said institution, us included, is there any communication between the NCAA and said institution that says that is still a thing, or does that just go away? And I mean, I mean, this just the group of us right here. I mean, I think we all understand, you know, how critical that is to the development of sport, of track and field in the United States, because either there are not enough professional coaches out there that can handle the amount of athletes that come out of the NCAA track world. And, you know, and so for some athletes, I mean, Exhibit A, Florida, they are just fine staying there and continuing to train with Sir Lucius, right? And I'm wondering how this new regulation and everything is going to change that, if at all. Number two, you know, in terms of the first world problems, what I see happening and what I, you know, and I remember, this was years ago. I contacted Nebraska, and they had a position open. And here I am thinking, okay, well, you know, I mean, I'm just inquiring to see, you know, what you guys are doing. And head coach says to me, no, Kareem, that is strictly a recruiting position. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, that person pretty much goes on the road, does all the background work, does all that stuff, handles visits, all that stuff. And he gets paid to do that. There was no coaching involved. I said, oh, okay. So now, you know, so with that in mind, you know, I can see a director of ops being a major position now on a track staff. I can see a recruiting coordinator being a major position, you know, on a track staff. I can see single event coaches, you know, volunteer pole vault coaches that have been, you know, riding shotgun with these staffs and that have been able to handle their own, and maybe they have their own business on the side, maybe they do camps, whatever. Multi-coaches, multi-events coaches that have a very specific skill. And for the schools that have the wherewithal and have the resources, I can see a situation where those coaches now have, you know, autonomy, and they are able, and they are paid for what they do, you know. Lastly, Arkansas men and women. Okay, how does that affect those two staffs, right? Now, they've done a lot with 3 coaches. Now, here's a question. Do they have 3 volunteers each? Is that how that works?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now you have a situation where they can go out and hire another position. That is going to be huge. I think, in my opinion, that's going to be huge for a program like that. So a lot of, I like I said, I'm not coming with solutions there, you know, but I'm thinking in just thinking about how this new legislation could affect track and field as a whole.
Well, I think that it helps the single gender programs much more than the dual gender program.
Yes.
Agreed.
In the dual gender program, you can get everything covered as long as you staff it correctly. Right. Single gender, not as easily. And so I think that I think that the director of ops role is already big. I think that, but remember, this is a new coaching position. So if you hire a director of ops, they can't coach.
Yes.
So that doesn't do any good. So I think for me, it's going to be interesting to see how many they give track and field, because if they're going to go along with the model they just went with, that means if they had 1, they gave them 1. We have 6. Are they going to give us 6?
Yeah.
Or are they going to give
Exactly.
us 3, or are they going to give us whatever, right? And saying, let's be realistic. I don't need 6 more paid coaches. I don't, you know, and there's no world where I'm going to ask for 6 more paid coaches. And that's the other issue that comes up here is, okay, so the NCAA can say what they want, but what are the institutions going to do? Now, because in baseball, softball, it's one position, it's not as bad, right? But so if the NCAA comes along and says, hey, you had 6, you can have 6, how many people are going to really let you hire 6 more people?
Mm-hmm.
And then this is going to have an issue with all the other sports that have volunteer coaches. So that means that's a lot of coaches being added on a campus versus even just a staff. So I mean, I don't see a world, honestly, where we get 6. I don't think it's going to happen. But it also might be an easy way for the NCAA to say, hey, we're going to give you 6 and you pay you. Because there's somebody out there in the world that's going to say, okay, baseball had 1, you gave them 1. If you don't give track and field 6, there's a lawsuit coming.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to sue. And they will back off of that because they've already been sued already.
Twice.
So,
and lost.
Yeah.
Exactly. So here's my question. So I know I'm cutting you off, Clyde. Not question, perspective. So in the governor's response, and you kind of echoed it, we talked about, or it was mentioned that the volunteer position gets paid. And so now the volunteer pole vault coach, the volunteer whatever coach is now made into a position.
Mm-hmm.
In opposition to that, we eliminate pole vault altogether per se, because we don't want to pay that position and invest money in that position, rather have a second.
But you wouldn't have to eliminate them, because if you were going to eliminate them now. Right? There's no reason to eliminate pole vault.
No, but I'm saying that it's less costly when you don't have to pay the coach.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that that's no different than now. You don't have to pay the coach now. Right?
But
like if you have a volunteer pole vault coach, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But there's no reason to eliminate an event group when you can add a coach. Right? If the vault is important on your campus, you're going to pay the volunteer to be a full-time
No, and
coach.
I'm saying that it's not important. And I'm saying if I have to choose for hiring a second sprint coach or taking on the volunteer pole vault coach, then you're going to belittle that pole vault group a little bit more. I don't want to say a little bit more, but like, I don't know what word I'm thinking of, but you all know what I'm trying to say. And hire the second sprint.
I ain't gonna lie to you. You took this left, and I am now confused.
Yeah, I'm very confused now.
Let
me stop. I understand what you're saying, but if you wanted to de-emphasize the pole vault, you would have done it already. Like if you didn't care about the pole vault, you wouldn't have a volunteer pole vault coach. And if you have a pole vault coach, a volunteer pole vault coach that's doing a good job, you're going to hire them. Now, if you have one that's not doing a good job, that's a different story. Totally different story.
So my larger understanding of this whole particular issue is kind of simple. The NCAA is tired of getting sued, and so they have been advised to stop doing things that would land them to be sued. One of which in this realm is telling universities how you can limit staffs. Because if the University of Florida has the wallet to hire 20 coaches, let them. Why do you care? If the SEC wants to hire 20 coaches, let them, and let the SEC put a regulation on that. The NCAA wants to get out of the business of legislating people's finances, because that is obviously a way to get sued. Same way you can't legislate the kids and how much they can make, right? So what this particular baseball softball moves means to me is that track and field is going to get some more permissions to hire more coaches. But ultimately, it's a first world problem issue, because I can tell you right now, I ain't going to get no more coaches. Okay. And there's a lot of people that aren't in a financial position to do so. Ultimately, I think it's good. Again, if a campus can hire more people, great. That's better for our profession. That means there'll be more people working, and hopefully more people working in higher paid positions. That's awesome.
Yeah, because there's no world out there in the business world where you can tell some people how many they can hire in their corporation.
Exactly. And that's exactly the point. It's so simple,
Right.
yet the NCAA has made it so difficult for so long, right? My thing is to the D-ops issue. That's also jokingly, but seriously, that's also one of those first world problem issues, right? Like the D-ops market for the places that have ops, there's like a real commitment to pay those people well, and there are very few people who are very high commodities in that game, right?
Mhm.
But the majority of us don't have those things. Me and my staff of -2 from what I'm supposed to have on paper are handling all our ops on our own, right? I would love a D-ops. If you came to me right now and said, Coach, we have a chunk of money, you can have another coach or you can have ops. I'm taking ops all day. I'm taking ops all day. You know? But that's me. That's the way I've set my stuff up. I can afford to do, like, I'm good on the coaching thing. I just need some other help, right? But that's a campus by campus situation. At the end of the day, like I said, more people working and hopefully paid better is good for all. So yay, that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah. I mean, look, if at the end of the day, let's if we use a working number, if we just use the baseball softball number, and we just use 2 for every campus of combined programs, right? That's what, 28 more jobs in the SEC. That's soon to be 24 more jobs in the Big 12, and blah, 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 blah. Right? You know, it's a lot of it's positive movement for the coaching profession for sure.
Professionals. Can't leave this one untouched. NFL predictions.
Now, what I want to know.
So it begins.
Now, here's what I want to
right?
know. It's a
That
serious
was the
question.
calm before the storm.
No, it's a serious question. Because the playoffs are getting ready to start, thankfully. Are we doing wild card weekend predictions and hold it there? Or are we going all the way through?
I like that idea because I am totally unprepared for all the way through.
I'm with that. All right. So
One week at a time.
Who would like to start, or do I have to start?
You have to start.
Okay. I will go to, first of all, I think I always knew this, but this year it's very, very obvious. The NFL is extremely petty. And, they are leaning into the petty with this wild card weekend, and I'm here for it. So I'll start with the AFC, and hopefully I don't fumble any of these, pun intended.
Oh my God.
You have San Diego traveling to Jacksonville, a game I find very, very interesting.
Probably going to be the best game of the weekend.
It absolutely could be. I am picking San Diego. I am definitely rooting for Herbert, but his coach is starting to bother me, and I'm a little worried. I'm just saying. Then you have Cincinnati playing Baltimore, apparently without Lamar Jackson. I don't see how the Ravens are being blamed for this. They offered the man an incredible amount of money. He just didn't want to pick it up. I think he's going to be a Miami Dolphin next year. I'm clearly picking Cincinnati. And then you have Buffalo and Miami. Not that Miami was ever a threat to Buffalo, but Tua ain't gonna play. So clearly it's Buffalo, probably by 3-4 touchdowns. Not quite a TCU shellacking, but
stop it.
Okay.
I knew you were gonna say
that should be a solid blowout there.
punch in the face.
Okay.
Moving on to the other side of things.
Kai's
I'm
gonna
at-
throw up on you just for that.
I hear you. I'm actually very impressed with the work that Pete Carroll has done this year. It was a cute run with Gino and the crew, but yeah, the 49ers going to blow that out. My upset of the week, if there is one, I am most definitely taking the Giants to beat the very, very, very fraudulent Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. And then because the NFL is so petty, the standalone game, Monday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys are traveling to Tampa Bay to meet John Wick. And there is no way that I'm picking the Cowboys. So Tampa in a nail biter. Brady is Brady. Dak is Dak. And this is just the way the world has to be.
Wow. And so it begins.
Oh Lord.
Gotta love it.
Well, I mean, let me just meander through this situation here briefly. The Jaguars are absolutely beating the Chargers, so just let that go. The Dolphins have about as much chance of beating the Bills as I almost said it. Anyway, I don't want you ready to beat punch me in the face.
Punch you in the face too.
Okay, I didn't say it though. See, he said I didn't say it. And then I mean, obviously the Bengals obviously going to win. To me, like I don't know why we're talking having that discussion, but 49ers are going to beat the Seahawks. I don't see any world where the Seahawks have a chance. I'm riding with the Vikes. I mean, the EP is my guy, and I'm glad the Giants are in the playoffs. But the Vikings have found a way to win games all year long, and they're at home. And then, oh man, this pains me. I'm riding with the Cowboys. I'm riding with the Cowboys.
Oh my God.
I'm riding with the Cowboys.
Oh.
There you have it.
Governor, would you like to go or would you like me to follow that nonsense?
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Why does that have to be nonsense? I mean, I'm riding with the Cowboys.
Yeah, okay. Bye, Felicia.
Man. Oh man.
Bye, Felicia. I gotta be Felicia because I'm riding with the Cowboys.
Yeah, okay.
The governor's gonna ride with him too. That make him Felicia as well.
I mean, he's a Cowboy fan. I would expect that. Oh, I forgot. Mm-hmm.
So Seahawks, 49ers, 49ers all the way. I don't, I just don't see any world where the Seahawks can pull this off. Chargers, Jaguars, I think this is much closer than people think. I think the Chargers are not trending upward. I think the Jaguars are on a high, and I don't think anybody wants to play the Jaguars right now. So I'm going to go with the Jags with the upset. Dolphins, Bills, no chance for the Dolphins. They're down to their third string now. Because Teddy Bridgewater is out, still nursing his broken finger. Tua's out, not a chance. I picked the Giants to beat the Vikings. I feel like the Vikings have this thing where, and this is the if the Giants are up 10-0 or somewhere in that range, it is over. I think the Vikings are front runners. They've got to get out to a fast start. If they don't, look out. Ravens, Bengals, not a chance. Bengals all the way. And the Cowboys are going to win by 14.
Oh my stars.
Well said, Governor. Well said.
Thank you.
Said it with his chest. At least he said it's tough.
I'm very proud of the governor for being rock steady with your fandom. Us here on Earth, though, we know that, again, we say this all the time, right? History is an incredible predictor of the future. Dak has the most turnovers of any starting quarterback in the NFL, and he didn't play all the games.
Mm-hmm. He was working on his reads. He's
Listen,
working on
I
it.
feel you. You know what? I'll
He's
save
trying
this
to figure
soliloquy.
this stuff out.
They're not beating Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, so that's a Bucks pick for the Huffster. I am, of course, picking the Giants to beat the Vikings because A, I'm a Giants fan, but B, I get to bring back this term. The Vikings are fugazi. They are fraudulent. They are without question the worst 13-win team maybe ever.
I agree.
But you know what?
That's just disrespectful. The team
you know what it is,
and they're fugazi.
They sure did, and they still have Kirk Cousins as their quarterback, so I'm good. And I'm so happy for Gino because, like, he has to be laughing on a regular basis, right? Like, he was a bum. He couldn't be a starter. He was a bust. Like, he had to go be a backup. And he was Russell's backup. And he was never going to play. And then they let Russ go because they were going to basically give Gino the job. And the Seahawks are going to be belly up. And this dude was like the best quarterback in the NFC for a minute this year. So, like, good for them. Yeah, but that story's over too. Like, I mean, look, to Clyde's point, right? The NFL they love the petty scenarios, and they got the gift that just keeps on giving with this slate of games. And listen, let's go back to one thing. The fact the Cowboys have the better record in that game, get to go on the road and play the best player to ever play the game, and it's a standalone game on Monday, is just so the entire nation can watch the Cowboys fall.
Right. Brady's never lost to the Cowboys, and
first time for everything.
Never won a road playoff game.
Yeah, stuff has to break up. I understand.
It's perfect.
It is.
It's the perfect scenario.
The NFL loves Joe Cool, and the Bengals are pissed off about the whole coin flip thought process. So yeah, that's going to be an absolute beatdown. I am 100% in agreement with Sir Lucius. I think the Jags are going to absolutely serve the Chargers because the Chargers are trending like a very poor stock, and the Jags are getting better every half a game.
Yes.
And I'll say this: teams that know how they play to win are dangerous, and the Jaguars get what they have to do to win the game. And T-Law's actually the real T-Law again. So, and do we really have to talk about the Bills and the Dolphins? Like, if Tua was completely healthy and had never had a concussion, they were going to get beat to death.
Yes.
So yeah, they should forfeit that game.
Can we wait a minute?
Forfeit the game.
The Bills are going to beat the Dolphins by 3 touchdowns.
Can I say on the coin flip issue, because I don't think a lot of people have really paid attention to this. I was actually impressed by the NFL coming up with this solution. There was no good answer, but this is by far the best of the answers. So
the answers that were out there, there's no question this was the best.
Yeah. So if you haven't been following, the playoffs are going to play out. If the Chiefs, who are now the number 1 seed and get the bye, end up in the NFC Championship against the Bills, that game has to be played at a neutral site, which is awesome, though I don't know where it would be. Maybe Indianapolis.
I've seen Ragnarok suggested.
There you go.
On Twitter.
Yes.
There you go. If the Bills and the Bengals end up in the AFC Championship, same thing, neutral site. And so, that's about as fair as it could have gotten, right? It was creative. I didn't think they would have, I thought they'd go a different way. I really did. And I'm glad that they didn't make anybody go out there and play those extra games. But, bro, the governor. It's hard to lead the NFL in interceptions when you played 5 less games than everybody else.
This
I mean,
is true. This
You
is
just got to
very
double
true.
up. You got to have at least 2 a game.
Yes.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do. But I'm Chewy. We need your picks. You ain't getting out of that.
I mean, the only pick that matters is the Niners are going to beat the Seahawks. That's
All
all
right.
what's going to happen.
So your weekend
don't-
is over once that's over. That's once
Oh
that's
yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
But you still got to pick the rest of the games, Chew. You can't not play.
Can the Dolphins get it? Can the Cowboys get it done, Big League?
For the sake of the peace in this house, yes.
Oh, hell no.
For the sake of being able to, I don't even know if this is a possibility of seeing the Giants. The Giants. This is not baseball. The Niners play the Cowboys again. Sure, why not? Pay for those tickets again.
Oh, so you're thinking from the standpoint of fodder, right? Like
Yeah.
we're just okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if they play again, probably send y'all to the game again. Why not?
This apparently did not, is not part of the playoff drama, but it is part of the NFL petty drama. I absolutely loved watching Aaron Rodgers go down in flames
Oh,
again.
of course you did.
And
Oof.
with
That
everything
was-
on the line in his house.
That was so hard to watch.
Go Lions. That was hilarious.
Yep.
I'm here for petty NFL.
I'll say this: the NFL is not ready for what's going to happen next year. The Lions are actually going to be good.
The
They are gonna be good.
Lions and the Jags are going to be problems next year.
The NFL's not really ready for that. And just imagine if the Jets get a real quarterback, then
Oh
all
my
three of them are going to be really good, and that's gigantic problems.
I was waiting for it. Anyways, we'll move on before that goes downhill.
There had to be a Jets reference. Had to be.
Jets. What?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right, moving on. Here we go. I'm just not even gonna let it sit there.
Hey, maybe Aaron Rodgers is gonna play in New York.
Oh God.
Oh my goodness.
Trust me, my child has sent me pictures of this nonsense.
Oh man. All right. Would you rather? I'm just going straight to it. Sir Lucius, you're up, sir.
Again?
Oh man.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. All right. I know. Woosah
Right.
Center. Would you rather sit on the driver's side row of the bus or the opposite side row of the bus?
Always the driver's side. Second seat on the driver.
Got it. I love it. Isn't that crazy how we all have that nature? We got a seat. That's our seat. And there's always someone
That
who
is
is
very
aware of it,
true.
who is very what's the word? Oblivious to the fact.
Mhm.
Would you rather eat a chewable vitamin or consume a powder form vitamin?
Chewable.
Flintstones?
No.
I'm just kidding.
No. But I mean, if it was going to help me stay healthy, I would do it. But
Yeah.
I'm not choosing to.
Spend the rest of the day trying to get it out of your teeth. Like it was that and Pepto, the chewable
Oh
Peptos.
god.
Oh my
But it
goodness.
works like
Yeah.
a charm.
Yes, it did.
Would you I can't even get over it right now. Would you rather have chickens or pigs as pets?
Wow, you're funny. Chickens. They're cleaner. would imagine,
I mean, at least you
yes, I
get
don't
eggs
know.
out of it.
I
have to
I
slaughter
had
it.
chickens.
I was like, chickens aren't cleaner.
It is bad.
Chickens are not
Okay,
cleaner than
well.
pigs.
Well, they're easier to get rid of, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Would you rather on meat day, would you rather wow, geez. Would you rather wear slip-on shoes or lace-up shoes?
Always lace ups.
Got it.
Always lace ups.
Would you rather coach the shot or triple jump?
Shot put.
What?
Right? Wow.
Okay.
Mm.
See,
Just wanna wrap-
I kind of think like the shot put in the 100 are like can be married, because of the ballistic nature of the two events.
Mhm.
So absolutely the shot put.
I like it. Oh, I just had a question and it's not really relevant to you because you're not a big fan. I'm gonna ask it anyways. Would you rather eat Sour Patch Kids or Sour Patch Kids watermelon? The little watermelon slices. Watermelon.
Yep.
Got it. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
And I'm definitely not a fan. I'm not eating it.
I know that's I wrote. I just read it. I'm like, why did I should have done an M&M.
No,
question.
that's okay because I love watermelon flavor stuff, just not Sour
Yeah.
Patch Kids.
I'm gonna go first because I'm actually really proud of my question. This is like the best
Oh,
one
wow.
I've had.
Here we go.
And first of all,
Ever.
before we go around the block, I would like to say I thank you so much for not being suspect tonight, Big League. I appreciate it. For the first time in 3 years, there was no suspect questions, and I think that was phenomenal.
I blame it on the fatigue.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, Sir Lucius, are you ready?
Absolutely, sir.
Would you rather coach the current group on your campus to try to win a national championship or take on the challenge of switching rosters with any other team in the country to try and beat the current group on your campus?
What kind of question is that?
It's a good question.
I'm
Not a
rocking
good
with
question
my
'cause it's
Gators,
not
and
an answer, it's an obvious
you
answer.
know that. I'm rocking with my Gators, man. I'm not trading them for anything in the world.
Good.
Now you should have.
I know
asked,
you like a challenge, so I
You
figured
should
I'd
have
ask.
asked if you wanted an appropriate question in that space, sir. It should have been which two rosters would you combine to have a
Which
shot
conference?
at winning?
Yes. Which conference all-star team?
That's what you should have asked. But anyway, I digress. Sir Lucius,
Yes, sir.
would you rather? Would you rather watch Tom Brady eliminate the Cowboys or rewatch the TCU Georgia game?
Oh my gosh, I'm seriously
Oh.
gonna kick you.
I would rather rewatch the TCU Georgia game because Tom Brady's not eliminating the Cowboys. So
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
I was sticking to it.
Oh man.
Oh.
Sticking to it.
God.
It's
Just-
not directed at you. It's not.
I know.
Which is wild. Hey, listen, I'll ride for the frogs. It's all
Go
good.
ahead. So, Sir Lucius,
Yes, sir.
would you rather retire as a forgotten coach with a winning record, or would you rather retire as a famous coach with a propensity to lose the championships?
Oh, that sounds like a Cowboys question.
So I'm gonna say something right now. They can forget me, and I'm gonna make a difference. Because there's no way I want to be known as the guy that couldn't get it done. That's not. Wow.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
good.
Marv Levy comes to mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Amazing.
Dude,
Absolutely.
that accomplishment just puts you in such a quandary,
It does.
right? The man made 4 straight Super Bowls. No one else has ever done it.
Ever.
He just lost them all. If he had won one,
Yes.
he'd get the credit for going 4 straight times.
Yep. And you can't say he's not a legend. I mean, but what kind of legend?
Because look, to that point, right? That's Bobby Cox. Like the Braves won the NL East like 13 years in a row.
Yeah, the
They
John
won
Smoltz era.
They won one World Series with the greatest pitching staff ever assembled, but
Yeah.
they won. So they're a dynasty.
Yes.
Yeah,
If they had gone
off
over,
your back. Yeah, gets the monkey off your back.
oh,
All right. Well, let's give some praises. My heartbeat props, seriously, because I think I utilized it all day today, and actually I've always known what the value is. Whoever created the app and the website and the platform Teamworks, thank you.
Okay.
If you know, you know. Teamworks.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
We just got it this year. We're learning our way through it, but it is awesome.
Feel free to call.
It is. Yeah, it's special.
I'm
Especially now
gonna
that
jump.
I have a D ops that knows how to really use it. I'm loving it. So,
Oh,
Right?
love it.
It's the tool itself when utilized.
Have you figured out how to do notifications yet, Shu?
Absolutely.
Well, I need to talk to you then because
Okie dokie.
we haven't figured that out
The
yet.
phrase "coach" is on your phone in Teamworks. That's all I need to know now. It's on your phone in Teamworks. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's at the end of your arm code. So Teamworks. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go and Clyde has got me in petty mode today, so I'm gonna be very petty. My heartbeat props go out to all of the fantasy football league champions in the country, myself included, because I know how hard it is to toil and struggle through the entire football season and deal with all the haters and the injuries and football players that don't want to play and all those other wonderful things. But listen, my heart bleeds for you wonderful people who have managed to sift through all the nonsense and win your respective fantasy football league championships. To the belts, the money, and everything else you win, congratulations.
You're not winning your fantasy football if you don't have a good name. That's all I
You don't
gotta
have a
say.
what?
A good
Oh, for
name.
sure. For sure. I lost the year before to a guy that had Joe Burrow. He put 75 points on me. So this year's championship team was named Funk because they wouldn't let me spell the right word. Funk Joe Burrow.
An appropriate name.
For sure.
I just want to say we do not do this in our very friendly family game, but I'm going to push for punishments for the last place team. I'm so into the
so
idea.
brutal.
Oh, I'm into the idea of the tattoo leagues or things like this where, yeah, you might win, but you really don't want to be last. I'm here for that.
The worst one I've seen is the team that was last. The person had to join the military. That's the worst one I've seen.
Hey,
Wow.
I'm here for it.
Wow.
There was one a long time
The
ago.
Patriot League.
There was one a long time ago with nothing but guys, and the last place guy had to get boob implants and keep them in for a year.
See,
Insane.
I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, heartbeat props. Heartbeat props.
Sorry.
No, my heartbeat props are really very simple. Like a lot of people, we are opening our season this weekend up in Spokane. Very excited about that. My heartbeat props go to my athletes who are going to be on the plane. You have earned your right to be there. You have risen above those that have not, and I want you to go out there and show where we are. I'm very excited about this year's team, and we are all chomping at the bit to go get it done. So I'm very, very proud of these individuals who have earned the right to open up their season.
Thank you, Clyde, for taking my heartbeat props, and I will just echo what Clyde said. Go right ahead.
I am going to give heartbeat props to our compliance staff for on the first class problems, but for all the hard work they've done to get mid-years in amongst the plethora of January football players that show up these days. I don't think people realize. I have to remind my staff all the time that we have to remember we are not the only team on campus, and there's always a lot of stuff going on with compliance, but they always do a wonderful job of finding a way to help us get done what we need to get done. I appreciate them a lot. So my compliance department is.
Well,
Agreed.
isn't it time for you to suggest that track has its own compliance department?
I mean, he needs one. Who
I thought
That's what I'm
we
saying.
did already. So yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
all right, well, blessings, safe travels, great marks for all those who are going somewhere or having a competition this weekend. But other than that, have a great weekend, get back safe and back at it next week. See you all later. Bye.
Run fast, turn left.
Yes.